Good morning and welcome to Friday. The end of the week has come, another week gone, another period in our lives, another period of our sharing these moments together. It has been a challenging week for some of us. There are some of us who have been hospitalized, and some persons are at the COVID center in the north. And we want to hold them all in our prayers, praying for their continued healing and renewal. As we go into this weekend, we want to give God thanks for all that we have shared over the past week, all the blessings we've received, all those nuggets of wisdom that have come to us in our reflections, in our meditations, in our prayer times. And we trust that we can continue to grow, being courageous and seeking to draw from deep within us that strength that we need to continue this journey. For this is our journey. And as challenging as it may be at times, it is the reason why we're here. And our invitation constantly from those beyond is simply to continue the journey, to continue to work, to continue to grow. And so this morning we seek to do just that, to continue to build those muscles, to continue to work out in the midst of the pain and discomfort, knowing that this is all for our higher good, and we are trusting the divine who has sent us into this world to lead us through and to grant us what we need in order to complete our tasks. So this morning I invite us to use some of these moments to really come into a space of openness, especially as we think of those who are hospitalized or who are in an institution at this time. We also think of those who are going through any challenges with their lives, those who are exhausted from the work, those who are inclined to give up, those who are mindful of that desire to turn back. You want to bring all these conditions that we are faced with into this time, because each one of us at times find ourselves in these places. And so we know and we understand. So this day we just spend some moments in deep reflection, coming into our heart of hearts, and just bringing others into this space. Especially those we know, those who've asked us to remember them. We bring this week of sharing to a close. With a true sense of love and healing light. And we ask that we may be used this morning as conveyors of that light. We may be able to assist in some way to each other's continued movement forward, fixing their eyes on the light before them and not looking into the darkness. Be still and know that I am God. Be still and know that I am. Be still and know. Be still. Be. Be in that quiet place. Be in that healing place. Be in that place of love. Be in that original place, source, wholeness, oneness. Remember where we have come from. And remember where we are going. Pray that our journey, though challenging and sometimes long, may nonetheless lead us home to the place prepared for us. Pray for the courage and the strength to journey on. A man in the crowd said to Jesus, "Teacher, tell my brother to give me my share of what our father left us when he died." Jesus answered, "Who gave me the right to settle arguments between you and your brother?" Then he said to the crowd, "Don't be greedy. Owning a lot of things won't make your life safe." So Jesus told them this story. A rich man's farm produced a big crop. And he said to himself, "What can I do? I don't have a place large enough to store everything." Later, he said, "Now I know what I will do. I'll tear down my barns and build bigger ones. where I can store all my grain and other goods. Then I'll say to myself, you have stored up enough good things to last for years to come. Live it up, eat, drink, and enjoy yourself. But God said to him, you fool, tonight you will die. Then who will get what you have stored up? This is what happens to people who store up everything for themselves, but are poor in the sight of God. So Jesus, being asked for assistance in sorting out an inheritance, takes the opportunity to speak to something of greater importance. We are so caught up in our world with the material of this world. And we all know of stories where the passing of a loved one creates such turmoil in families as persons seek to grab for themselves as much as they can, thinking that they deserve this. And oftentimes not even bothering about their siblings, which supposedly they love. Families can really deteriorate into horrid situations at these times. And what is it that we're going after? We're going after the same thing that the person before us went after. And right there before us is the example of what happens. They pass on and they leave it behind. But we behave as though we won't pass on, and perhaps, if anything is left, leave it behind. Jesus, in this passage, is not overly concerned with who gets what. Jesus is more concerned with the focus on the things that are more in keeping with the divine purpose. How do we live this world with a focus on the divine purpose? We are told by some that Earth School is one of the most difficult schools to participate in. And those who come to Earth School are of a special character. And we can all testify to the fact that if we make the effort to pay attention to what Jesus is speaking about, that yes, Earth School is really a difficult place to be. But like we see in sports, for example, especially like gymnastics or diving, the degree of difficulty generates extra points. And so athletes oftentimes choose a higher and higher degree of difficulty in order to be able to advance along the scoring scheme. We're here and we understand more and more the challenges that face us. But we must recognize that we must have it within us if we are here. It is like being at one of what we would call in the past the top schools. And when the work begins, the youngster begins to feel inadequate. But the youngster must be reminded that you didn't just get here. You had it within you to come here. And if you had it within you to come here and to be here, then you have it within you to go through this. We doubt ourselves so oftentimes. And when we doubt ourselves, we tend to lose sight of our purpose, lose sight of our goal. We're here to advance ourselves as spiritual beings, seeking to return to the fullness from which we have come. We can ignore this purpose, and we can allow ourselves to be lost in the fog, lost in the distractions, lost in the pleasures, all because we feel inadequate to complete the task. or because we are uncertain of what the task is. But in reality, we know what the task is. As Jesus reminds us that we must become rich in God, rich in our awareness of the divine, rich in our seeking that higher journey, that higher place from which we have come. So the challenge for us is to look within, to not lose sight of that inner being, that inner will, and to draw on that will to go forward day by day, to meet each day with a renewed commitment to journey, to walk the path, to learn the lessons, to do the exercises, and to seek to improve day by day. We are not alone in this. There are those who are sent to assist us, to support us, because in the divine realm, the idea is that no one is left behind. Everyone makes it to the final tape. Everyone completes the journey. So like those moments where we see in athletics a runner almost collapsing and not seemingly being able to finish, another runner comes along, stops, takes him up, puts his hand around him, and journeys with him and bring him to the end. Because that other runner knows the amount of work that that person would have put in order to be in that race. He knows from his own experience what it would have taken, the sacrifice that would have been made over the months. And knowing this, he knows too what would occur in that person's sense of being if they were unable to make it to the finish line. God sends other runners to pick us up and to assist us to make it to the finish line. Because these other runners, they too have had to do the work, and they too know what it took for them to have completed their race. Yes, we are constantly reminded the race is not for the swift, but it is for those who endure to the end, because the same will find God's saving grace. At the end of this week, as we come to this weekend, may we take some moments and reflect on the invitation to become rich in God. wishing you a glorious weekend.